Castelldefels in Spain, and I'm standing on the road which is going to be used in stage 2 of the Tour de France in 2026. This is the road here. So yeah, super exciting news for our area. I featured some of this road on my last video where I cycled down that way towards Barcelona airport. So feel free to check that out, and yeah, you might get a little bit of a glimpse of that. But today, a bit of a different video. I wanted to show everyone my bike. I've ridden over 1,000 kilometers on my Van Rysel, so I thought now would be a good time to go through my setup, show you the bike, and discuss any of my thoughts that I have on it. I should say, first of all, that I'm not sponsored at all by Van Rysel. It's a completely independent kind of discussion about the bike. I bought the bike with my own money, so yeah, no issues on there. And I wouldn't call this a review exactly, just because I don't feel like I have the experience of riding so many different bikes to call it a review. But yeah, just to talk about my thoughts. So starting with the frame, mine is a size small, and it's obviously a full carbon race bike, so the geometry is pretty aggressive. This wouldn't be considered like an everyday sort of bike. This definitely wouldn't be an endurance focused bike. It's definitely on the racy side, so it puts you in a really low kind of aggressive position. I've seen on a lot of reviews people mentioning the stiffness of the bike. For me, it is super stiff. It does ride quite firm, I would say, but if you're riding on decent roads, it's not such a big deal. I've had no issues with comfort even on longer rides. The road quality obviously out here in Spain is pretty good, but yeah, no issues with kind of the rigidity of the ride feel. The stiffness is great in the sense that you get a really good power transfer. So when you get out the saddle and you start pushing really hard, there's a really noticeable difference in terms of how the bike propels forward when you start pedaling, compared to my previous bike. In terms of the aerodynamics of the frame as well, it's supposedly wind tunnel tested in conjunction with the ONIRA space agency in France. It's impossible to verify kind of how the aerodynamics is of the bike, but what I can say is when I'm descending, without even pedaling, you feel like the bike is being pulled forward, whether that's an aerodynamic thing or a positional change thing. But compared to my previous bike, there's a noticeable difference in terms of how the kind of aerodynamics feel when you're traveling at higher speeds. Also, this is deeper wheels as well than what I had previously, so that makes a bit of a difference too. In terms of the finishing kit, the bike comes with carbon handlebars, which are officially 42mm width, but if you measure it center to center, it comes out at around 40mm. And then you've got, I think, an aluminium stem here. In terms of the bike computer, I'm running a Wahoo Element Bolt, and then I've got the Insta360 out front mount on the front there. And then moving to the back, we've got an Aero carbon seat post with Decathlon's kind of own brand saddle on top here. No issues with the saddle for me on longer rides. It's got the pressure relief channel, which I find really useful. For the wheels, the bike comes stock with Zip 303S carbon rims, and I've switched out the tires to Conti GB5000. I'm running these tubeless, so obviously it's a hookless rim with a tubeless tire setup. I think the bike originally came with Michelin Power Cup tires, which I never actually used, so I can't say anything about them, but I wanted to switch immediately to GB5000, and I've had absolutely no issues with these. The tires grip really nicely on the road. The rims are about 45mm deep, and they weigh in at around 1500 grams. So in terms of the depth to the weight, it's pretty solid setup there. In terms of the group set, as I mentioned, I'm running the SRAM Rival ETAP group set with a 48-35 chainring up front, and then it's got 10 to 36 tooth cassette on the back, which is 12 speed. For me, it shifts really well, and I'm super happy with the adjustability on the app. You can really tweak the position of the rear derailleur to make sure that everything's in line perfectly. And there's a few different settings that you can do to adjust how the bike shifts. For example, if you're in the big chainring and you shift all the way up to the big sprocket on the back, then if you want, you can have it so that the front derailleur automatically shifts down into the small chainring, which is super useful. I think the range of gears works really well for me. The 36 tooth on the back allows you to get up, anything above 20% if needed. But then you've also got the kind of flat line speed of the 10 tooth sprocket as well. The reason why I went with SRAM over 105 is mainly because of the battery situation. I wasn't super keen on how Shimano kind of integrates the batteries into the frame. So you need to put the whole bike near a outlet to plug it in to charge it up. With SRAM, you can really easily just unclip the battery here, pull that off, and plug this straight into your charger. You have the same on the back as well. One thing that's super cool with this is that if your front derailleur runs out of charge, you can switch it, or vice versa. You can switch it with the other one so that, you may want to say, okay, I'm going to keep battery in the rear derailleur and just leave the front in the big chainring. So you can switch the batteries around if you need to. But yeah, super convenient with that. And the bike also comes stock with with SRAM's, I think it's the Quart power meter. So yeah, massive game changer for me because I never cycled with power really before. So to be able to keep a monitor of my power outputs and track all of that through Strava and through the SRAM app is super useful. So upgrades. What would I upgrade on the bike if I wanted to spend some money on it? So the first thing I think for me would probably be with the handlebars. I think I could benefit from dropping down to like a 38mm bar width. And I think possibly going to an integrated like fully carbon bar setup would be cool. But I want to kind of dial my fit in first before I do anything like that. And I don't think it's super crucial. Another thing is on the Groupset. So one of the benefits of going with the SRAM system, I think, over Shimano, and I'm not fully sure how it works with Shimano, but I know with SRAM, you can sort of upgrade piece by piece around the Groupset as you go along. So, for example, if you want to change out the shifters to like a SRAM Force or SRAM Red shifters, you can do that. If you want to change the crankset to a Force or Red crankset, you can do that. So I think one thing that I might try to do in the future is upgrade the whole crankset to a Force or a Red crankset, because I think then you're gonna take a massive chunk of weight off the bike, and possibly upgrade the shifters. But just being able to kind of do it slowly over time, piece by piece, for me was a massive benefit. But yeah, as I said, the bike for me is excellent right out the box. So I don't think any upgrades are really crucial. But we always love to spend money on our bikes to make them as optimized as possible. So that's the bike, guys. My closing thoughts, I would say I'm super happy with the bike. I think the Van Rysel range really gives you great value for money. Decathlon's able to tap into their economies of scale and use their sort of buying power to put out a range of Van Rysel bikes that really give you a lot of bang for their buck. They're definitely not cheap by any means, but if you're looking for a way to get into performance road cycling, for me it's a really good place to start. So I'm super happy with the bike, and really enjoyed riding it over these 1,000 kilometers and hoping for many more thousands in the future. So yeah, thanks for watching, guys. Bit of a different video from me. Hope you've enjoyed it. If you have any questions on the bike or my setup in general, please feel free to shoot a comment and I'll definitely get back to you. All right. Thank you. Bye.